Hi everyone, my name is Kristin Hayes and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm going to show you how to make this cute birthday card today. To get started, we're going to start with a piece of Night of Navy, and this is cut at 8.5 by 5.5, and I did score it at 4 1/4. There's something, it came out of the package with something on it, but it's going to get covered up, so I'm just gonna use it anyways. So I'm just gonna give it a crisp edge. So then we have a piece of Night of Navy, and this is cut at 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And we're going to adhere a piece of Daffodil Delight onto it before we run it through the Big Shot. And this is cut at 5 3/8 by 1 3/4. And I'm gonna just eyeball this and put it in, you know, about 1/4 inch coming in. It's not exact and it doesn't need to be. We're just going to be layering on top of it. So I'm just going to adhere this down, and if you wanted to get exact, you could certainly do that. Actually, let's see, just to keep it straight here. All right, there we go. And now I'm going to run this through the Big Shot, and I'm going to be using the Parisian Flourish embossing folder. This is in the spring catalog with the Parisian suite, but I've just loved the pattern and I've used it for a lot of different things. I think it lends itself well to florals as well. So let me just grab my Big Shot up here. And I've got the blue plate in it, so I don't need a shim. This just moves everything all around. Okay, so I just want to say, when I put this in, there is a center. Let me see. There is a center to this embossing folder. Now, you don't have to center it exactly. You can put it in whichever way you want. I like to center it. So what I do is I line it up as best I can so that it's centered, so that the pattern is the same on both sides. And that looks about right to me. So we're just going to run that through. All right. Put that aside. And then you can see that the Daffodil Delight and the navy almost looks like it's the same piece of paper. So you want to make sure you adhere the Daffodil Delight to the Night of Navy before you run it through the Big Shot. You could do it after, but I don't think it would line up correctly. So we'll put that aside. Next, we're going to be working with this piece right here, and this is a piece of the flowering, I think it's the Flowering Foils DSP. You can see I did some coloring on another one. Maybe to use, I can't get it up now. Did a little bit of coloring on another one as I was playing around. But these are the patterns in this pack. This is one of the second release Sale-a-Bration items, and you can earn it for free with any catalog order of $50 or more before shipping and handling and tax. So that's been really fun to work with. So I started coloring already, so you wouldn't have to look at me coloring the whole piece, but I did save the middle flower to do with you, and I'm just going to show you how I'm going to use my stamping blends to color it in. So the center is colored in dark Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to use the smaller tip, and I'm just going to color in this center part right here. And then I'm just going to go over that through the whole flower with the light Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to use the brush tip this time. Some of those caps are on so tight, I never know how hard to pull. And we're just going to, and you can go right over the middle with this too. Just be careful around your edges. And obviously you can change this up with any colors you like. You can see I almost did, I always practice a little bit on a scrap of white before I choose my colors. And I almost did the pretty peacock, which that would have been pretty too, but ultimately I decided to go with navy with it. That other piece you saw had all three colors as I was trying to design a card. That idea just didn't come together, but maybe it will. Maybe it will. All right, so then the flower part is done. So we're going to do these leaves. Now the big leaves I did in, let's use the brush, I think. The bigger leaves I did with the light Night of Navy. I just want to be careful not to go over my yellow. There we go. And we're going to do these leaves as well. These are just, I probably should use the other end for these, but we've got this one out and working, so we'll go with that. And then there's not really a leaf showing there, so we'll leave that. And then the buds I did in the dark Night of Navy, this way. And we're going to use the small end for that. Just to tie all the colors in together. All right, so that's super simple to do, and as you can see, it's very quick, and it just adds some nice color. If you wanted to, you could also sponge with your daubers, and you don't have to stay in the lines if you don't want to, and just sponge in color. Or on my last video, I showed you how to use a sponge brayer to use color to the whole background. So now what we're going to do is adhere this to the base we've created. And again, I'm just going to eyeball, and I'm going to come in about 1/4 of an inch. I don't want that Daffodil Delight to show on the other side, so just make sure you're covering that. And then bring it down. And I never, ever cut exactly right, so I'm just going to trim that up right there. And then we're going to stamp our sentiment. So I have a piece of Whisper White, scrap Whisper White. Just make sure it's clean here. And I'm just going to take the Night of Navy ink pad. Whoops. Oh, and this is from, I'm sorry, Wonderful Moments. I haven't used this set in quite a while. I don't know about you, but when I get a set, sometimes I use it to death, you know, over and over and over again, and then it gets put aside and I forget about it, kind of. And so I like the sentiment in this, so we're going to use this one today. And it's always nice to mix and match stamp sets and sentiments with whatever you've got going on. So let's just center this here. And then it's got a little detailing piece. We're going to do that in the Daffodil Delight. And this is from the same stamp set. I'm just going to, you might see my head in the frame as I line it up. And then the Happy Birthday, we're going to come back in with Night of Navy. And I'm just going to line it up pretty close to that flourish, but not on top of it. Let's see how I did. Not too bad, not too bad. All right, let me just close these up. And then I'm going to take my 2 1/4 inch circle punch and just punch that out, and it should fit just inside of it. And then I have a piece of scrap Night of Navy. Now this, the 2 1/2 inch is retired, but you could certainly use your dies, your circle dies for this, or even make it a square, or even a rectangle would work there too. All right, so we're going to adhere our sentiment to the base, the layering piece here. All right, and then we're going to adhere this piece onto the base of our card. And I am putting a little extra snail on. I always like to do that when I've embossed, just because it's not flat on flat. So to make sure it really adheres. There we go. And then I am going to use dimensionals on the back of this. And I just cut up some of my edges here to make sure I'm using all of my dimensionals. Don't need to let it go to waste. And I seem to go through quite a few of those. It's always nice to pop something up on your card to give it a little more dimension. And I'm just going to put this down here so it fits on the card. And that's all there is to it. So, whoops, I'm tipping over my punches. So this is the card we just made. This is the original. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're not already working with the Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love a chance to work with you, and all of my links will be listed down below. Thank you so much for watching.